in the mythical Moonwake roastery with Ming, because we are finally doing a collaboration coffee that is washed, fully washed.
Wow. Who would have thought?
Yeah, given like all these other coffees, I don't know how many washed. That's definitely. I don't know if that's washed. But washed. But we got the coffee here, so wanted to just talk a little bit about it, brew, show you guys, some greens. We'll probably have a roasting video in the future, but basically just wanted to taste the coffee, tell you guys about it, some of the roast profiles we've been playing with, and then also, this is a way for you guys to kind of taste the coffee along with us. We are going to do an event at the shop here, so you guys can come and taste coffee brewed by yours truly here, and hopefully things will be brewed really well. But we wanted to kind of just do that little behind the scenes thing that everybody loves, and talk about the coffee, because we can do that. We're in a roastery. All right, so let's talk about this coffee.
Yeah, let's do it. This is probably one of the most exciting Geshas we've had from Colombia in a long time. I remember we cupped this quite a while back, and we've been waiting for a while to get through, exporting and shipping. But it is just fantastic. It's our first time working with La Bohemia and Raquel Lasso. She's obviously an excellent, world-class, producer. Does a lot for raising women in that producing industry. But take a look at this coffee. Finally get clean washed
Gesha too, from Colombia. Oh, it smells it smells clean. Yeah, super clean.
You can almost start to get some of the like red flavorings, like the sweet like strawberry type notes, even from like the greens. But that was why we kind of loved it initially. It's hard to usually get a lot of those really great red colored flavors like pomegranates and strawberries and raspberries without like the added funk that comes with fermentation and from naturals usually. So getting it from like a clean washed in like a really clean presentation, like that's super exciting for us. And yeah, it should be an excellent collaboration.
Yeah, and a big reason why I wanted to do this coffee, obviously, we can pick any of these coffees and do collaborations and put the name on it and do an event and all of that. But a reason why I like this coffee so much is because this is a coffee that is, if you don't know anything about coffee and you taste it, you're like, wow, it tastes red. Or you can perceive something about the coffee. But then if you're a nerd and you start thinking about what's actually happening, it's very impressive. So I really like coffees where it's like, if you really start to think about it and you're further down the nerdery chain, you start to really appreciate it and be like, wow, this is actually very impressive. But you can be a complete normal person and taste this coffee and be like, wow, that tastes amazing. So yeah, that's like why we picked this coffee. Usually these are things that you would say of like maybe a processed coffee where it's like very expressive, but this is a wash coffee and it's so intense. It's so many red fruits, and I'm really excited for you guys to taste it. But yeah, it'll come in boxes.
Yeah, so funny story. We actually got a pretty good deal on this, so we were going to launch it in 8-ounce size Nova boxes, but we accidentally put in an order for like 100 or so of the 4-ounce size box. So we're actually just going to offer both. So it's great. You can get, if your bean backlog is getting out of hand and you want just a little bit, we'll have a small 4-ounce size at a good price. And then if you want to get a better deal, we'll also have the 8-ounce available. Usually we don't do multiple sizes for Novas like that, but yeah, this is a really special coffee, and we definitely want everybody to try it for all the reasons Brian said. It's probably one of the most exciting ones that we've had from Colombia. So
yeah. All right, well, let's go and brew it. We'll be here in a few weeks to do a brew event here. So if you're local in the Bay Area, you'll be able to experience hopefully very tasty coffee. But let me get you guys set up and we'll go and taste. As I mentioned earlier, I really like these types of coffees where it's like, you can be a complete normal person, taste it and be like, wow, that I didn't realize coffee could have these really interesting fruity notes in it. Especially the level of intensity out of a wash coffee is very impressive. So normal people can perceive that. But second of all, if you are more inclined, you're somebody who's deeper down the rabbit hole, you start to think about wow, this is kind of crazy how we're able to achieve this level of intensity of acidity and cleanliness and fruitiness, I guess, in a washed coffee. And that's why it's very exciting. But we played around with a bunch of different roast profiles. You had like 4 or 5 different roast profiles that we played with. You know, the notes we have on this coffee are raspberry, strawberry, rose hips, and jasmine tea. Some of the profiles we played with definitely had more red fruits, definitely had more rose hips, but the profile we eventually landed at is kind of in between. Like we kept being like, okay, we're too far on one side, too far on the other, and then we kind of like dialed it in, or Ming dialed it in, but you know, we tasted things.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because now it's a very like layered experience. So you get a lot of like that really bright acidity up front. So it doesn't taste, you know, flat and boring. It's kind of like a vibrant start. Mm-hmm. And then you get a lot of that rose hips towards the back. It kind of hits you in like a second wave and finishes in a little bit of a jasmine tea. So it's a really fun experience, and it's definitely like a bridge between like new people getting into specialty coffee and like enthusiasts.
Yeah, and also I do want to mention the profile we have now. It's like you can push it really hard if you want to in brewing, but you don't need to work so hard to get all of these qualities here. I would say that in my experience of pushing the coffee a little bit harder, you do get more rose hips in the back, but it's already like such a high quality coffee, and you know, obviously really great roast that you can kind of do anything to it, and you'll get just so many expressive red fruits. But anyway, let's go ahead and brew. Yeah. What I've found with this coffee, at least with a lot of Ming's wash coffees, is you for sure can get away with doing a lot of stuff. So I like to brew these coffees actually quite aggressively. We are tasting it, I guess, on the fresher end in the context of, you know, Moonwake coffees. But you know, you'll really see this coffee kind of open up in that, I would say, like week 4, 6, 7, 8 week area.
That's usually the case. It usually just keeps getting better the longer you wait. However, the acidity is pretty soluble, we found so far with this coffee. So if you're pretty skilled in brewing, you know how to like off gas enough, you know, either grinding a little bit ahead of time or, you know, manipulating the bloom, you can actually get some pretty decent cups even pretty early.
Yeah, I just think like eventually as the coffee rests, because we've played with some of the older profiles, is you'll get that kind of both acidity and rose hips effect, kind of both getting in the cup there.
Yeah. So do you want to push it harder this time?
Yeah, let's push it harder. All right, getting in the coffee ground. I definitely think with a lot of the wash coffees from Moonwake, especially this one, I think this one you can just push it very, very hard, either with agitation or extended brew times, you know, grind pretty fine. Let's give this a smell. Wow, it's clean. It is
super
so
clean. Packs a punch already.
Yeah, there's this level of intensity out of a wash coffee that is just still so impressive to me, where it's like you really would expect that type of loudness out of more fermented and processed coffees, but you know, the fact that this is washed is really amazing.
Yeah, very like rose, very like super ripe raspberries. Yeah,
it's very red.
Yeah, always red.
And I hope you guys who watch these videos, you are all skilled enough brewers, hopefully. But this is more of like, I'm trying to say the coffee is really good that you can get away with doing a lot of stuff. You don't need to think too much about it. But what I am doing is I am actually brewing a little bit hotter. So I'm at 97, 98 Celsius. You know, that I think for these wash coffees, you can get away with just doing a ton of stuff. And then this is, we just have a 15 gram dose, and we're on Abaca's with the Timor Crystal Eye. But you know, you can feel free to use any brewer you want. I'm just going to brew a cup, pretty standard recipe, 15 grams, and then we'll go to like 250, 255. And you know, we're going to pour 60 wet WDT, and then do 2 more pours mellow drip. So I just like to do 3 pours, keep it simple. But
yeah, do you think your brew style works really well with like the nice acidity in this coffee particularly?
Yeah, but I do like to pour pretty, you know, my 60 grams, get in there, do some wet WDT. And for sure, you can let this coffee really, really bloom and open up, especially if you're grinding it like this early or brewing it this early. Wow.
Yeah, this is like 1 week-ish off roast.
Yeah, you can smell it. It smells great.
Oh yeah.
Wow. That's really nice.
More hibiscus this time around.
Yeah, but still red. Like it's exactly like that. It's just red.
I can't think of non-red notes.
Yeah. For those of you who do get these coffees in, you have no patience. You can grind it and let it sit there for a few minutes before you begin brewing. What I have been doing, at least with these coffees, is I have been mellow dripping, but I just let the kettle kind of just lose temperature. So we kind of get like a rounder and sweeter profile. But I just do my second pour, which is a pretty fast mellow drip pour, up to like 170 at like 8 to 10 mils a second. But I'm using a lot of like this momentum, spinning it around and getting the mellow drip very close to the bed. Yeah, basically I think it really helps kind of get a lot of that clarity in the cup, but a lot of the red notes in this specific coffee, if you do brew this recipe, it's for sure gonna come from the wet WDT at the beginning. But they're just like this rosehip note that I really want to try to push out, and I think mellow drip helps for a lot of that. We are grinding pretty fine, so my third pour is at basically 2 minutes. And right when the water is about to exit the bed, I'm just gonna pour again. And we're gonna go up to 250, give or take. While I do think this coffee is very interesting to push to like 1 to 18, even 1 to 20 world, I have found that because there's such intense red note, I'm stopping at 250 instead of 255. So maybe like 16.67-ish world. I mean, you can see how dark that is already. So we are grinding pretty fine. But our brew times are like decently fast, I would say. You can brew up to your 4 or 5 minutes on this coffee, and it still tastes amazing. But I like to just do slightly faster or try to speed things up with the wet WDT, which you might not need to do in your shop. So.
Yeah, I think our normal brew profile is a bit more like contact time, so it ends in the like mid to upper 3-minute mark. We'll probably get more like creamy strawberry out of it versus this. I think we'll get a lot more of that nice acidity and separation.
Oh wow, jasmine. Red plus jasmine.
Oh, that's lovely.
Wow, that is super nice. Yeah, I mean, and this is fresh too. 1 week off roast. But let's give this a taste. We'll let you guys know what it's like. But we wanted to put this video out there because we're going to be doing an event brewing this coffee. So we want you guys to come to it if you're in the area or if you have friends who come to the shop. I think it'll be very exciting. But let's give this a taste. Yeah. Wow. Red.
Oh man. It's already great after 1 week.
That's so impressive. I'm genuinely surprised how this coffee has turned out like this after I remember Ming giving me the first profile of this coffee, and he was like, "Oh, it's too developed, too dark. It wasn't up to his standard, right?" But I was already tasting it. I was like, "Dude, this is already so good." And then he's optimized it across the last few profiles, and we've landed at this one, and it is just there's so much happening. I don't even know where to begin with. I mean, first of all, it tastes red, obviously, but we can tell you it tastes red. We've been saying that this entire video, but I'm trying to figure out what else can we say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely you start with the sweet raspberry note. It's like the most defined. It's like in your face. This one, I think with your brew profile, because you push the acidity very up front, that red tart fruit is what you hit with. But it finishes in such an interesting jasmine tea type quality, very effervescent.
Yeah.
And it's surprising. I feel like the rose hips are shifting a bit. I usually only get them in the back, but I'm kind of detecting it throughout now.
Yeah, I think what's also impressive about this is the layering. The fact that this is a wash coffee with this level of layering is, this really reminds me of a lot of those very, very high quality Panama Geshas, the layering just in the acidity itself. But there's so much happening here. It's also, obviously you get this crispy red fruit. There's hibiscus in there. Then I see a lot of this rose hip, not kind of zingy a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's got this really sweet and clean and there is a nice florality in here too.
Yeah. Overall, it's an airiness to it, an airy body. Super nice. I mean, usually our coffees are pretty asleep from our lowering profiles at a 1 week mark. So if this is already this expressive at a week, it's only going to go up from here. just really pleasant.
That acidity is the most impressive thing, I think, with this coffee. But again, this is the thing where it's like, you can give this coffee to, I think, a normal person. You know, they didn't never taste specialty coffee before, and they'd be like, wow, red fruit, cranberry, right? You can taste red. But then you start thinking about it, and if you're more of an enthusiast, you start to be like, okay, there's actually this really interesting layering and complexity. Like the level of complexity and intensity of this coffee is very impressive when you consider the specs, right? It's washed coffee. This is quite rare, by the way. If you're an enthusiast and you've kept up with the amount of washed coffees that can perform like this, it is quite rare, which is why I wanted to highlight it.
Yeah, I mean, we also like obviously have a preference for Geshas here at Moonwake, and we get a lot of our coffees and Geshas from Colombia, but this one really stood out from the pack. It's just very unique presentation.
Yeah, and also to mention, this is a really great example of how value and quality are not necessarily interlinked in the world of coffee. When you consider how expensive this coffee is for how it performs, it's very impressive, right? Like, you know, you'll be able to get a bigger box of this, right, or a bigger bag, but like this is a fantastic deal for how good this coffee is.
I mean, if you're comparing to like, you know, your typical Panama experiences and Panama Geshas, like I would put this, you know, up there with a lot of them for a big fraction of the price. Yeah, you can definitely taste there's some like of that freshness in the back end. So clearly it needs to like off gas a bit more.
Yeah. But we're already getting so much.
Yeah, it's only really at the end too.
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing with, you know, when you got coffees of this quality, there are a lot of ways you can express these coffees in brewing. You know, with my brew style, you guys know I like to do a higher agitation, but because there's so many little complexities, or, you know, there's so many details in this coffee, I like to use the mellow drip for that as well, so we can kind of pull out everything. But, you know, you can kind of just pour water on this and it's gonna taste pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend that you guys get the 8 ounce just because it is such a fun coffee to play around with.
Yeah, full shots of it.
Yeah, I'm sure like soup shots would taste amazing actually with this. It probably tastes like strawberry juice.
Yeah, but like not strawberry juice in the context of like processed coffee, which is impressive, right?
Yeah, not an artificial like, you know, Special K dried strawberries, but like actual like, you know, fresh strawberries.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like just a really nice coffee. I mean, I'm also brewing it at a hotter temperature, you know, 97, 98 Celsius. So, you know, you can get away with pushing the coffee quite hard. Of course, you know, play around with the different recipes. If you do get the bigger bag, it's a fantastic deal. And I hope to see you guys at this event. We'll put the details somewhere on the screen here. But, you know, check out the Instagram and check out the website when this coffee releases. And, you know, we'll be talking about it on the Discord as well. Just very excited for you all to get this coffee in because, you know, it's a wash coffee and we're going to do an event about it. And I just love like Ming entertaining my fun requests. But yeah, this is like, you know, of the coffees that Ming gets in, this is like a very
this is a Brian coffee.
Yeah, this is a very impressive coffee.
That was my first thought. Yeah, this is very much like, you know, the vibrant in your face, but like layered, like clean. This is, yeah, first thought I had was like Brian Collab coffee. This would be the one.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for you all to get the coffee in. Hopefully we've described this coffee very well to you all, and when you guys get it in, you'll have a fantastic time brewing. But otherwise, I want to thank you all for spending the time to watch this video. We will have more content when we do production on this coffee. This is kind of that like sneak preview. Hey guys, this thing exists. Like I know you guys already keep up and you already know this stuff exists, but wanted to do that more formal tasting video just to show you guys what's up. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Looking forward to hearing your feedback on the coffee and hope we can enjoy it together.
All right, bye.
Bye.